Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Eric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
This episode is brought to you by Sevens Boutique, an online shop created by 2 sisters, Angie and Jess, who believe you should walk boldly, dress divinely, and know your significance. At Sevens, you'll find easygoing pieces that are cozy, classy, and made to mix and match. Think relaxed pants, cozy sweaters, and lifestyle sets you'll want to live in. Every item is handpicked with purpose, so you can shop confidently, dress comfortably, and walk boldly. Inventory is small and curated, so if you see something you love, don't wait. Visit sevensboutique.com and use the code PODCAST10 for 10% off your first order. www.sevensboutique.com. Walk boldly, dress divinely, know your significance.
Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. Look at it. Aww.
We actually are sitting together.
Man, it was Andrew's idea.
Because I just want to be close to him.
Yeah. Okay. Although I will say, on vacation, give her 24 hours and she starts to calm down a little bit. So
Takes a minute.
Yeah.
Takes a minute.
I'm excited to spend the weekend with you. We are celebrating Angie's birthday at Hallie's house down in Florida. And
Favorite place.
We do love it so much. And it is something that people can, if you're listening, you can rent it for your families. We don't talk about that too often, but we Airbnb it, so you can reach out through our Facebook page. But
right now we're sitting on our screened-in porch on the back of the house.
Yes, so we just find a lot of peace down here. The weather has been great the first couple of days. So continuing with our fall theme.
Season of Us.
The Season of Us. You listed out, we're going to cover a lot of topics today, but just to start, fall vibes, the Great Pumpkin Debate.
Well, it's...
I said the Great Pumpkin Debate because I'm thinking the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown.
Yes.
But the Great Pie Debate is what we want to talk about.
Well, it's even more than that. So pumpkin is definitely a thing for the fall. I mentioned the pumpkin and ginger. And for you listeners, you went out and you found that one and they love it. I have heard great reviews.
People.
So listen, I only give good advice.
Mostly, yeah. That's mostly true.
But you actually brought this up the other day. You're like, there's actually this debate going on of pumpkin versus pecan as far as the
flavors.
Yeah, the season of flavors, or even
at the end of August.
Pie. What is it?
Yeah.
At
the end of August, Starbucks always does their PSL, their pumpkin spice latte, the final week of August, to try to get out ahead of it.
PSL.
I know. And it took me the longest time to know what PSL stood for, pumpkin spice latte. But according to DoorDash this year, now pecan is blowing pumpkin flavors out of the water this fall.
Which one
by
would you
40%, I think. I would pick pecan every day.
Me too.
I love pecan pie. I love pecan bars. I love just pecans. We had those cinnamon
turtles,
roasted pecans last weekend that were amazing. And then, all things pecan. And so you get it in a flavored coffee now. It's really good. So, but I'm not alone. Again, according to DoorDash, like 40% more orders are containing pecan over pumpkin.
Okay, so let us know. We're actually on the same page. We both said pecan. So what's yours? Is it pumpkin or pecan? One other thing we have to clarify from our podcast last week is we had a listener, you know who you are, that said, could you please clarify what a John Deere room is? Yes, I'm with you, sister, because it wasn't until we built our house. Or no, when we met, because you had a room.
I had a John Deere room, and that one was a lot bigger. You could pull your riding lawnmower into that room.
So ours, yeah, but you know what's different? So really, what is it? Now I'm thinking, what is a John Deere room? Because at our house, there's this room in our basement that you can't get to from anywhere else except from the outside, and it's just like this little tiny storage unit place built into your house that has double doors, and you keep your mower in there.
All my tools are in there. I have a workbench.
Yeah.
All of our pool supplies.
So I don't know why it's called a John Deere room.
Well, it's got double doors. You could
a
pull a riding lawnmower in there. It would be small, but you could.
John Deere is such a brand.
That's what people called it. I don't know. When I was building a house over 10 years ago, somebody's like, and here's your John Deere room.
Maybe it's a John Deere room is a storage room with just double doors, and it doesn't have a garage door.
I think that's fair. And I think that realtors named it that to make it sound cool.
Sound good.
That's what I think.
So there's your clarification, listener. Also, I think we need to dive into our first college visit together.
Yeah, I think we're going to go back to college.
I think, we've decided that we are now going to enroll at Ole Miss, and we are going to go back and be college kids.
We're going to be rebels, running rebels.
Yeah.
And
I think we'd fit in.
We took the twins on their first college visit, and Dane got to go along because he's a freshman in high school. And so we did that it was like a 3.5-day weekend last weekend. And Angie and I loved it. I really honestly, I think all 5 of us loved it. The campus start to finish. And some of the fun facts that I didn't know was that the guy who designed Central Park in New York designed some colleges across the country, and Ole Miss is one of them. And it makes it, as soon as he says that, you realize why the campus feels so like a big park that's not too big. It's also like Goldilocks, not too big, it's not too small. It's just right.
Yeah, I was shocked. Well, all of us only know Mizzou, which we love Mizzou. I mean, big, diehard Mizzou fans. A couple kiddos graduated from Mizzou. You graduated from Mizzou. Hallie's scholarship is Mizzou, all things Mizzou. But it's why I tell the kids you should always go on college visits. Go check it out, even if you're not sure, because it gives you a different perspective. It gives you knowledge to make an informed decision. It's also why I love to travel, because it enables me to have more knowledge to make decisions about life, of seeing a lot of different places. So I say all that. We had no expectations, except we had heard a couple people say, oh my God, you're going to love it. So we kind of went into the expectation, but also having no initial feedback of why or anything about it. Here's what I would say about Ole Miss. It is a super cute town. It is very actually small town, very clean, felt very safe, which, turn on the news, right? So felt very safe. And it was so well designed. Everything was walkable within 15 minutes. I am directionally challenged big time. And I felt like I could know my way around that area pretty easy, which if you think about it on a college, first time, kids get nervous in a little high school. Like, oh my God, am I going to know where my classes are? And this just felt like it was so organized, super organized. It was actually the safest school in the SEC.
Yeah.
So
we loved it. But again, the kids loved it. Will they go there? I don't know, right? It's always hard for a kid to decide they want to move almost 7 hours away from home. And so no pressure. It's their decision. They can do. But for me, I would go back to school there and get another degree. We could be non-traditional undergrads.
Yes. What would you get your degree in?
This time around, I would probably go back to school, maybe to be a lawyer at this point. She didn't see that one coming.
No, I mean, you lose a lot of the cases you argue against me. Well, I could be your mentor.
Okay. Good. Well played. What would you be, Angela?
Oh, I would be a therapist, hands down. Hands down.
I also wondered about a dermatologist, but
no, Summer's got that covered.
Okay.
You gotta make sure you got a lot of different occupations throughout the family.
Well, I'd have to be the lawyer to pay for the therapy sessions for everybody. They'd be going to see their therapist. I'd have to pay you.
Then they would need an attorney.
Yeah, and then an attorney.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that was the college visit. It was a great time.
If you've not been to Oxford, Mississippi, we never had. You've not been to Ole Miss, check it out. Their football environment was amazing. Dana and I went in the baseball stadium, loved it too. So before we headed down to Hallie's house, you had a dream with Miss Hallie in it. And those are so special because they don't happen often.
Yeah, not very often. I bet it's probably been 6 to 8 months at least. And this is the best waking up after I've seen Hallie. Like, I can't describe the calmness that I feel, or just for a second, you kind of feel at peace because you got to see your child. In November, it's going to be 3 years. 3 freaking years that she's been gone. And it is a forever ache. And I've said this a million times on here, like that pain and that grief will never go away. Never go away. And I probably could count on one hand how many dreams I've had with Hallie in it. But when I have a dream with her, I wake up and you just sort of feel like, oh, I got to see her. And you're just, for a little bit, you feel a little bit on solid footing. And anyway, the dream, it was funny because she was at my mom's with like some of her friends. That's what I knew in my head, but we weren't there. But we were going to go see her. And in the dream, she had died. Like she was gone. And it was like she was back. And we were building a house for whatever reason. We were in the middle. We were doing a lot of stuff. It was on the weekend.
Premonition.
I don't know. But it felt like we had a lot going on. And I'm like, I remember, oh, Hallie's home, but she's like hanging at Grandma Alice's. And so I end up calling her and talking to her like, hey, what are you doing? And I told her we had a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, I forget that you're around because you have been gone. It was almost like all of a sudden I was busy and I remembered like, oh, Hallie's home. Like I need to call her. And so it was like we were having a normal conversation that we would have, calling just to check in when she was still alive. So we get out to my mom's and I see her and I give her a hug and I was telling her like, I want to go show you the horse I've been taking care of since you've been gone. And this is the one that you picked. Like, I want you to see it. And then we were like making plans of things to do. And I'd ask her what she had been doing and she had shared she was going to Mizzou, but there was something about her like that she had her stuff organized. like I remember thinking like, oh, she's got it all together now.
That's funny.
And they had been there was a football game the night before and they went to the Mizzou game, but I at that time didn't see any of her like friends or anything, but I knew she was out with friends. And so she was getting ready to leave and I gave her a big hug. I mean, she just was like this light, just sort of happy-go-lucky kid. Then she was leaving and like she was surrounded with people as she left. All guys surrounded with people. And I'm like, well, who were all those people? And she's like, these are the people that I hang out with. And it was like she was leading and it's like she had this little army around her. And then I woke up and I'm like, I got to see her. I'm always grateful for that.
I love that for you. That's exciting.
So yeah, so then I told Eric for my birthday, I just want to go down to Hallie's house. And we don't have the kids this weekend, so we do the little weekend getaways at the time frame that they would be at the other families. So we flew out Wednesday and head back home on Monday. So today is Thursday. We're actually recording this before dinner.
I'm hungry.
He's getting hangry over here. And yeah, we've had a couple people, we said, ask us anything on this trip. And so we've had a couple people ask us different things. One is around like, what do you do for date night or what's your ideal date? And I would say like nights like tonight, or that's my ideal date. Like you check boxes during the day and then we like get ready and we go to a nice dinner.
We're going someplace we've never been before. And
then you come home and connect. But you weren't expecting that one either.
No.
Do you want to talk about that?
Connection with your significant other, which is always important, mind, body, and soul. And we're really, Angie's excited about that. So I guess I will be too.
This trip, I'm the boss here.
I'm trying to move us along, honey.
This trip, we did a little bit different in that we kind of took time on a walk prior to the trip and mapped out where we wanted to go to dinner each night for new places because there's a million cool places to eat down here. And so then you don't even have to think about it. So that part's done now. It's like, okay, we're going to go to dinner. Eric
love it. I love goes
and adds extra things into our Wednesday, Thursday, Friday around connection.
I thought women liked to feel connected to their significant other.
Well,
and that was what
your view of connection is different than my
I
view of
literally
connection.
listed as connection.
Me sitting next to you, we're connecting here.
I listed it as connection point so that we would be able to label it whatever it was in that moment. See,
Yeah.
this wasn't, you're trying to make it more than it is. She's already skipped the connection point.
I missed one. I missed a schedule.
Jeez.
Also, when we travel down here and it's, getting close to my birthday, just different events, we always have people ask, like, have you had any signs from Hallie? And I will share a couple just in a very short time, but actually more geared, I feel like, towards the boutique. So we shared a while back in between all the giggles with Jess and I that our tagline for Sevens Boutique, well, Sevens came from, we see sevens all the time, but also it's, completion in the Bible. So we also, for that, wanted some sort of tagline with a boutique that sort of describes our mission, but very tied back to faith. And I love the story about Esther in the Bible. She had very bold, tough decisions to make, and she did it and ended up saving a bunch of people, a whole city of people. Is that right?
I believe it was the Jews at the time. So all of the Jews pretty much back in her day.
So she saved all of the Jews.
I could be wrong too.
No,
my Old Testament view, I'm not as up on my Old Testament as I am my New Testament, which I just finished for the third time since Hallie died. But the Old Testament I struggle with more. I find it to be a harder read. So, but I think that's what happened with Esther, is that she saved the nation.
The nation.
Which would be all of
Well,
the
I was
Jews.
trying to think of what they called their towns back then. So, walk boldly, dress divinely, know your significance is our tagline. And walk boldly is directly from the story about Esther in the Bible. When we were trying to come up with that, it's like, okay, what tagline can we that aligns with the Esther story? So on the plane, we land and we're waiting to deboard, and this cute little family sitting in front of us, and this little girl is jumping from the front seat to the back seat, like her parents were in two different rows. They're like, Esther, let's go. It's time to go. And I'm like, oh my gosh, when have you heard of a little girl's name, Esther?
It's been a minute.
Just made me smile. And then we get here and we walk in, and, birds are a thing for sure with us, and signs with Hallie and all of that. Wrist, feathers matter. And we walk in and there are birds chirping in the house. And it's basically like this little sound machine. It was playing birds as we walked in. And the last thing so far has happened. This morning, we go to our favorite brunch place, breakfast, coffee place.
Her favorite.
He doesn't love it.
It's
love
fine
it.
for me.
I love it. It's real and raw.
Real healthy.
Yes. And
no bacon.
He doesn't like it because the coffee was $7.
Right. For black coffee and there's no bacon or sausage, it was fine. It's your trip. Well, I'm here for you.
Delicious. So
we went to her favorite breakfast spot.
I love it because it's locally owned. It's a small little place, and it's just got such a great vibe. So they're playing the song.
I do love that they play Christian music. I notice that when I walk in. I love the way that makes you feel when you come in, for sure.
So when we walk in, they're playing Your Way is Better. I think that's the title.
I think
of
so.
that.
Forrest Frank.
Yeah, Forrest
Lord,
Frank.
I need you now more than ever. Won't you put my heart back together?
And then laying on the table was a kid's Bible story about Esther. I mean, it's just like, okay, all right, we'll keep moving along on our Sevens Boutique journey.
Love it. And again, you can find out more at sevensboutique.com or like them on the socials. That's the best plug I can do. I can't wear the clothing.
That was his radio voice.
Well, I can't wear the clothing because it's all for females. So,
and the last thing that's top of mind before we head off to dinner, I think, is just I really want to dive in and talk about faith and how you use that to navigate hardships. It's been so incredibly painful to see and witness what happened with Charlie Kirk, but then I also think at the same time it's beautiful to see how the country, the world can come together. I'm sure there's absolute divide out there, absolute divide, but the churches are more packed. Just recently at Mizzou, they had this big
Christ on campus event.
And it was songs and worship and all these people together praying. And I think that's like that duality that you live between navigating hardships, but having that faith and foundation set, rock solid set. And I think my perspective on that is if I was not grounded in some sort of faith, then I would not be here. I would not be breathing. I know I believe in God. Like I know God is real. But then I saw this video. I showed it to you yesterday and I shared it on our story where it's these people walking towards this fork in the road. And there's a lot of people. And the one option, the one direction that you can go in says, I believe in God. That's me. I believe in God. And there's a lot of people going in that direction. And then the other fork and the little road sign says that I follow God. And there's only a couple people. And the one person's kind of like turning around and going back to the path of I believe in God. And I think that's where we all just sort of sit sometimes, like a strong faith in God, but then the follow God part. And I think more people are starting to follow God and voice their faith versus saying, I believe in God, but also staying in a corner. Like we are meant to speak our truth.
Yeah, and I would just say for me, I think it's as Jesus said, it's a hard road. The road is difficult, and only few can travel it because to follow God is really hard. But that is actually, go back to a book I read a couple years ago, Practicing the Way. That's all Jesus asks us to do is to follow him, follow me. That's all he asks. And so I would even say on this healthy lifestyle journey that I've been on for over a year now, I see myself trying to follow Jesus more. And that gives me more purpose in what I'm doing. Also reading a book right now about being a better version of men, the kind of men the world needs. And continuously it is talking about, are we living to our purpose? Because it's really scary if as men, we actually are not, that we're not showing up and making our wives and our kids feel safe and protected. And so, I think it's been great to see so many people coming to church and bringing Christ to campuses across the U.S. Yes, I'm on social media, so I see the divide. I know that there's a massive amount of people that are upset about one thing. And what I would just say to you is, if you know Jesus, then your job is to love other people. And that's also to feel pain for other people when they're going through a hard time. And that's on both sides. I think so many times in America, we forget that we're only about to be 250 years old. Jesus was here over 2,000 years ago, long before America. So while I love my country, what I'm trying to do is be more like Jesus. So that because there long before there was a Republican or a Democrat, there was people that Jesus was trying to enter into their lives and to make the world a better place.
When I think about what following Jesus means, because I think that's where we struggle sometimes, like, what does that actually mean? In my lens, I think it's trusting him in the pain. It's being able to let go of what you thought this world was supposed to be, what you thought your experiences were supposed to be. And that constant pain of, for me, deep darkness of knowing that Hallie's never going to be here again, like forever, forever, forever changed. I can still love Jesus and thank him for the time and the lessons that this pain has created for me to learn. And I think I share that with my kids too, because listen, they're still like, Summer especially is very upset too over the Charlie Kirk thing. Like still, like it's like this.
It's a reminder for her, I think.
It's definitely a reminder, but also like it's this uneasiness about the world. And I think the thing that we have to keep in mind, and you mentioned it with purpose, is like you have to keep going back to what is my purpose here. And just because you follow God does not mean you are not going to have major hardships. What he's trying to teach you is to stay steadfast, to keep trusting him, even in the darkness, even in the pain of it all. And I wanted to share, I'm going to read something while you say something. I'm pulling this up because
Okay.
I ran across this this morning, and I'm like, oh, that's such a great story and such a great reminder that ties into all of this.
I was just going to say that I feel like if you really look at all the other religions, whether it's Hinduism or anything, you're always trying to earn your way to that person, to Muhammad, to whomever that may be. In following Jesus, you're never having to earn your way into that. He came and he died for us. And so it allows us, our purpose is that we can, even in our pain, we can meet him. He meets us in our pain. He's the one spiritual leader that actually comes to his people, dies for his people, continues to give grace to his people, even when we don't deserve it. And he died for us when we didn't deserve it before we were born. So that's just what I would say about that.
Yeah. I think if you're like me, like a lot of people in the world, where you're just like, so what is happening? Could God come back at any time, please? Like, this is insane. All the sadness and the things that are going on in the world. But then I ran across this, and it just, I think you'll understand when I read it, how it just resonates with troubled times. So it's, the thorn doesn't get the final say. Grace does. We love to quote God's response to Paul, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." But we forget that was spoken as a refusal to his request. Paul begged for the thorn to be removed, and God ushered in a no that would produce more depth than a yes. And that's kind of like, you're like praying for this to be right. And a lot of times I feel like God says no, like I want you to grow more. That's a side of God we really don't like to talk about often. The side where prayers are not answered the way we hoped. The side where deliverance from hardship or suffering does not come on demand. The side where love looks like sustaining strength instead of an instant relief. Just so true. But this is the side where grace abounds. The Apostle Paul didn't receive total freedom from weakness. He received fellowship with Christ in the midst of it. And that's the greatest gift, because the point was never the removal of the thorn. The point was the presence of God that would carry him through.
We talk about that often in our men's group, that Paul had to live his whole life with the thorn.
Mm-hmm.
It was a reminder to him of many things, but exactly what we're talking about.
Some of you know what that feels like. It's the diagnosis that doesn't lift, the prayer that seems to fall flat, the heartbreak that doesn't mend quick enough. And still, you find yourself upheld in ways you can't explain. You somehow have peace when you know it makes more sense to fall apart. That is grace. That is the power made perfect in weakness. That is God. What I've learned through the years is God's no is not his indifference, nor is it his absence. It is often the stage he chooses for his power to shine brighter than your strength ever could. You wanted an escape, and he gave you endurance. You wanted relief, and he gave his power. You wanted to give him glory, and he gave you a testimony.
That part reminds me of Evan Almighty.
Yeah.
Or was it Bruce Almighty? Whichever the second one was with Steve Carell. But Morgan Wallen's
That's
talking
Evan
to
Almighty.
Evan. Okay. So Morgan Freeman is playing God and talking to his wife in the movie. And she's upset. And he says, if a woman prayed for patience, would God give her patience, or would God give her the opportunity to practice patience?
Mm-hmm.
And ask several questions like that. And it reminds me of that. And then pick right back up where Angie left off. I know you can't see the purpose in this right now. But that's okay, because you don't walk by sight. You walk by faith. The end of you is the beginning of his strength. I think that's where we meet God so often, is in our deepest pain, when we need his strength. I said this recently in my men's group. I think that we oftentimes hide ourselves from God. I was reading that this morning in the book of Genesis, that immediately after eating the fruit, Adam and Eve hid themselves from God. And really, he wants a relationship with us. And it was one of the reasons why I felt like if I quit drinking, I would quit hiding myself from God. And I think we all have something in our life that we keep, because it's like, as long as I have that, I can hide from God, hide from Jesus. And so I think that's really, really important, what was written, and glad that you found that so that we could share it. Well, I'm getting really hungry.
Yeah, it's time to wrap this up.
And for a while, we're going to end our podcasts, and maybe forever, who knows, with what we'd like to pray for this week. So what would you like to pray for?
For me, top of mind is my niece, who is scheduled, I think, to probably be induced next week. And so just praying for her and her baby girl and that everything goes okay. And I think just for their country, praying for everyone that feels the unrest and the sadness, but also keeping their foundation grounded in God and knowing that we are all going to get stronger by facing some of these traumatic events and taking that fear of the unknown and turning it into a way that we can provide purpose in the world.
I'm going to do a couple of things real quick. The first thing, I'm going to ask you listeners to help me pray. I was just sharing with Angie this morning. I'm kind of bummed because I have not had a dream with Hallie in a while, to where I'm like, is she mad at me? Like, what's going on? But there is power in prayer. So if you would pray with me that Hallie would show up for Rick, as she'd like to call me, in a dream, I would really appreciate that. And I actually just want to pray two things over my family. One, that God would bless the time with Angie this weekend, that we would just be able to continue, as her and I have kind of talked about, I think on this podcast a couple of weeks ago, just how you rebuild after you lose a child is so difficult and it can never look the same. And so you're rebuilding something new, and that you just bless that journey for us. And then also that since we are at Hallie's house, that he would be with the kids back at home, because they're all spread out in all kinds of places right now. And just ask that God, you would be with them and keep your hands of protection over them while we're gone. And so that's what I have. I'm excited for dinner. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. When you're listening to this, you'll probably be having breakfast. So enjoy and God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.